You do? Woo!
All good? All right, Coach, take opening statement, and then we will take questions.
Of course, excited to be here. Trip's gone really well so far, and had great amenities and great hospitality at the hotel, and kids have been pretty focused on what we're trying to accomplish here and not getting too caught up in all the festivities, and so we've had good practices, and everything's gone very well so far.
The AP in Dallas. Just want to ask you, your first year with this program, what you've thought of Spears and your quarterback, just those two guys, I mean, that have been through a lot there and what they've done and what you've seen in them development-wise.
Just continue to grow, and we're really fortunate on offense because our best players are our best leaders, and of course those are two of them. And Tajae has progressively improved as the season's gone along. Started off a little rusty, I think. Had kind of a slow spring, was a little bit banged up, and you know, the run game was a little slow to develop to start with, but obviously the last half of the season he's been spectacular and really gotten the feel. And we've played him more too. We're rotating a little bit less at that position, and I think that helps him in terms of you know, staying in rhythm of the game. And Michael's been kind of the same way. You know, he's progressively gotten better as the season's gone along, and has been really all year has been really efficient in terms of taking care of the football and completion percentage and spreading the ball around like we like to do. So, you know, obviously we have a lot of outstanding players on offense, but in terms of the run game, it's Tajae. In terms of throwing the ball and distributing the ball around, it starts with Pratt.
Hey, hi.
Hi.
Gary Smith with NOLA.com. Just, you've mentioned that about staying with the hot hand Tajae a couple times the last couple weeks. That really hadn't been the philosophy here before you got here. It was kind of a rotational system. Like you said, he was coming off a hamstring injury, some other issues. Did it just take a while for him to get into his full effectiveness? And has your philosophy always been that if you've got a guy like that, use him as much as you can?
Well, you know, we like to play a lot of players. We like to keep players fresh, and you know, that's the ideal scenario. But sometimes, you know, in terms of staying in the rhythm of the game and so forth, it's I guess where we've changed, instead of having a standard sort of, okay, you're going to go this series and this series, and then the next guy comes in. It's kind of see how it goes a little bit more in terms of keeping guys in the game. It's particularly at a running back spot. So, you know, it doesn't really have anything to do with the guys that are behind Tajae. He's just been playing really well, and he's been healthy. And you know, after each game, he's seems like he's gotten a little bit stronger, and so we'd be sort of silly not to give him the rock, you know.
Receiver, it's different. You had a reputation. A lot of guys touched the ball at Central Missouri, and I think this year is many guys caught passes as almost any team in the country. Just how much does that help your offense when you have that type of diversity?
Well, I think it helps out a lot, and plus those guys bring each one of them have kind of a unique skill set that we like to utilize too. So, you know, we'll go through our game plan on a weekly basis, and you know, we'll look at who we want in on particular plays, and so that's nice. I mean, we have guys that are, you know, 2 or 3 guys that are a little better blockers. You want to make sure that they're in on certain, you know, play calls. And we got some guys that are better at running speed sweeps and reverses, those kinds of things. So, you know, some of it's by design and some of it is just, you know, in terms of the rotation. Now, those are guys that, because they're running so much, you got to be careful with the receivers, and you want them fresh down the line, especially as many close games as, you know, we get into in our league. And so, I think what we've done is we've done a good job of selling our skill guys in general, that you just never know. You got to keep playing, and it might be your day, and it might be a day where you're, you know, contributing, you know, away from the ball a little bit more. So we're fortunate in that regard that we have a lot of unselfish players, and I think it really starts with our leadership on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think we have too many guys that are overly concerned about their statistics. They just want to play well and be great contributors to overall, you know, team and winning the football game.
Coach, obviously Tajae is going to be going to the Senior Bowl, and he's going to get a chance to go to the next level. I guess my first question, any surprise that he actually stayed and played in this game in the era that we're in with guys opting out? And then I'll ask the next one after you ask that one.
I would say not surprised, knowing him. I'm sure that he was getting hit from different sources, different people about, whether he should play in the game. I don't know. I didn't really sit down with him and talk to him in depth because he had his mind made up pretty early. So I don't know that he really flinched in that regard. And that's, again, another sign of kind of the unity and the love that the guys have for each other, on offense, but just in our team in general. I think everybody's just real excited to play in this game, look at it as an opportunity to play against the, one of the blue blooders in college football. And so if they did think about it, I don't think they thought about it very long.
What aspects of his game do you think are going to translate well that'll give him the opportunity at the next level? And what has he worked on the most that you've seen this year that'll help for that?
Well, I think part of his frustration early, I think, was, he was just thinking too much. And I think when you get into a rotation with those guys, that's some of the downside too. When a guy gets in there, he thinks, "Oh man, I got to make a play now," because I'm only getting a handful of plays. And so I think he just stopped sort of forcing the issue and allowing himself just to play and utilize his great instincts running the football. But he's just about as well-rounded as a guy that I've coached at the running back position, in that he's got great hands, caught a game-winning touchdown this year. He's not afraid to block, and usually the running backs in terms of pass protection, they're going to be outweighed by 20 or 30 pounds most of the time. But he sticks his nose in there, and it's a very important part of what we do in terms of the passing game. So he's just, I think his game translates well to the next level because he'll be required to do all those things, not just one-dimensional kind of guy.
Last question I have for you. You mentioned obviously playing one of the Blue Bloods. How important is it for as good of a season as this has been for Tulane to finish it off right?
Well, I think it's really been the kind of the 1-0 mentality, all game long, all season long. Coach Fritz has done a good job with, keeping the guys focused on the task at hand, and I think that's part of the reason why it's been somewhat of a nameless, faceless opponent week in and week out, and just focusing on what we do best and executing at a high level and so forth. So. But having said that, not every game's the same either. So I think they understand that, recognize it as an opportunity. They're excited about it. And but having said that, I think their approach has been exactly the same in terms of their focus and practice, and understanding that, all the hype and the fact that we're in this game doesn't really make any difference unless you play well.
Any additional questions for Coach?
So this is the second highest scoring offense in school history in your first year.
I just read that the other day.
What are you happiest about in terms of the way the offense has developed this year?
I think the fact that that we haven't been doing it that long and it's been that efficient, really. We've had a number of and we've played good team football. I think that we're an outstanding defensive club, and I think that helps out a lot, to be honest with you. I think that allows you to, you're always in the game, and it allows you to run your offense at its best, and for us that means the ability to mix it up. So we haven't really gotten so much into a game where we've had to be one-dimensional throwing the football. We've been able to mix it up most of the season, and yet when we've been in those scenarios, we've been pretty efficient. 2 or 3 times in the 2-minute offense scenario. So, but just the fact that we came in, and this is the first time for these players running this offense, and the fact that they've done it with the level of efficiency and taking care of the football. We're not heavily penalized. We don't hurt ourselves very much. We've been productive in the red zone. And as you mentioned, we've been, and there's been a few games where we've, taken our foot off the gas a little bit too in terms of points this year. And so we feel like with the kind of defense that we play, if we can get to 30, we're going to win a lot of games. And that's been true this year for sure.
You mentioned taking care of the ball. USC thrives off of
Exactly.
forcing turnovers. I mean, it's a focus for you every week, but is it a little even extra emphasis this week since they've been so good at?
Well, yeah, with the kids, you know, it's a matter of making them aware of, again, of the type of team that we're playing, and you know, for sure, what we don't want to do is give their offense any more opportunities, you know, than they would normally get. So, you're right, it is a theme week in and week out, and we've been fortunate at you know, being good at taking care of the football, but they have a tremendous turnover margin, and almost anybody you talk to relative to the most important statistic football-wise, they tell you turnover margin is the most important. And so, you know, we have to be conscious of you know, not forcing the ball in the passing game and making sure that, you know, we're securing the ball, because if a team's trying to strip the ball, sometimes, you know, that can make them less effective as tacklers. So, you know, there's give and take with some of those kinds of things too. But they are excellent at that aspect of the game, and we're definitely aware of it.
Coach, we thank you for your time. To our assembled media, please exit to your right through the double doors for the Cowboys locker room for Tulane player interviews. Thank you.
Thank you.